start by appreciating everyone for being here today. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Lawal. Welcome, Bukola. Welcome, Ogane. Welcome, Toyin, our speaker for the day. It's a pleasure to have you all here. So how are we all doing today? I hope we're doing very good.
Yes, I am doing good. All thanks to God then.
Okay, that's lovely to know. So before we formally begin, I would kindly like to request for your active participation. This is a webinar. Of course, by the time our speaker finishes impacting us with the knowledge that she wants to today, would have a Q&A session, and it would be very much appreciated if everyone actively listens and contributes effectively later on. Thank you. So I would briefly be reminding us of what EcoSmart Club is about. Those that are just coming in, welcome. So EcoSmart Club is a Nigerian youth-led climate action group, which is focused on empowering students and teachers with knowledge and skills in climate action and sustainability. What is our focus? EcoSmart Club aims to increase knowledge and participation in climate action among young people through school clubs and programs. Can everyone hear me?
Yes. I can hear you.
Okay. Please, if you can't, kindly let me know. Thank you. So what is our mission? EcoSmart Club's mission is to empower youth to lead climate action and build green skills with a strong emphasis on inclusion for people of all abilities. So our topic for today, for this webinar, is building an inclusive mindset. This actively involves creating a space where everyone feels valued and has equal opportunities to contribute and succeed. Of course, core important. I'm sorry, Bukola, please, your mic is not muted. We can hear you. Okay, thank you. Okay, so as I was saying, as regards our topic, building an inclusive mindset, the core principles, involves awareness, basically recognizing and understanding one another's behavior, respect for diversity, each other's differences, empathy, which involves understanding people's perspectives and experiences without judgment, equity, and collaboration. This topic is what our speaker, Ms. Ajao, would much more elaborate on and enlighten us on. But before we formally introduce her, I would like to share some knowledge on who we're listening to. So we know that the person we're listening to is not just any ordinary, normal person. She is a human resource executive and disability inclusive advocate. Ms. Ajao is passionate about creating inclusive workspaces and communities. In 2023, Ms. Ajao led a campaign that challenged misconceptions about deaf people and engaged communities and key stakeholders. She is currently building Include Able, which is a platform promoting disability awareness, inclusive education, and economic empowerment. Ms. Ajao uses her sign language skills and human resource expertise to to bridge the gap between advocacy and practice. Everyone, please welcome Ms. Oluwatoyin Ajao. Thank you so much for joining us here, Toyin.
Hi, hello everyone. Thank you so much, Joy. Thanks for having me. Good afternoon, everyone. It's
Good
great to be here.
afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. I can hear you.
Okay. Just give me a few minutes. Let me adjust my audio and get a bit. Okay, great. Is the audio better now? So we are going to get right into it. If you know someone who is yet to join, text them, call them, um, leave them messages, and tell them that this is the place to be, and we have already started. First, I'd like to know the people who are active. Oh, the audio is not better. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Um, yeah, I'd like to know the people who are active in the chat. So to just get started, would you please drop your favorite emoji in the chat? Uh, yeah, I can see Lawa Ayilara, I can see Okolosi, I can see Nifemi, I can see Peter, I can see Balkis. Okay, I can see Bukola, I can see Faye Shola. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Let me start sharing my screen. Thank you, guys. So just give me a few minutes. Let's get the screen up.
To those that are just joining, welcome. Welcome.
Okay, sorry, I was muted. I didn't know that. Let me turn on my video. Uh, yeah. So if you can please turn on your video, I'd really appreciate that. Like Joyce said earlier, it's going to be a lot of it is going to be a lot of interaction. So we're going to be, you guys are going to be engaged basically. So don't expect me to be doing all the talking and talking and talking. You'd also be doing at least typing right in the chat. So I am excited to talk about this topic because a major thing that I'm passionate about is inclusion, disability inclusion to be precise, and I'm excited to begin to talk about it. And today we'll be talking about how to build um, an inclusive mindset. Oh, my audio is low. Okay. I don't know. I think I have to hold my earpiece like this. Is it better? Mic check 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Is it better? Can you hear me?
Way better.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so yeah. So today we're going to be talking about building an inclusive mindset, and you all are going to be joining me, like I said. So to start with, um, Joy, thank you. Are you the one sharing? So yeah, let's go to the next slide. Oh, okay. Is there anybody, is there anyone with disability in the room? Or is there a deaf person here? Okay, let me see if I can turn on my caption. Yes, is there a deaf person here? Is the sign language interpreter here already? Okay, my guy said I should sign. Is there a deaf person here? Before we start, so that we can know. Okay, if not, we'll just continue. Um, yeah. Okay, let's get right into it. So first questions, like I said, you are going to be engaged. You have to talk, you have to type. What comes to your mind when you hear the word disability? Or when you see the word disability, what words, what image, what feeling, what anything, what comes to your mind when you hear disability? Drop it in the chat and let's chat. Someone who lacks a certain ability. Thank you. Thank you, Kolosi. Um, let's engage. If we don't engage, we're not going to leave. But this is just supposed to be a 1 hour session. So let's engage so that we can leave early. And what comes to your mind when you hear the word disability? Because I think you're a special person. Okay. Someone said someone who lacks a certain ability. Another person said a special person. Okay. So when we hear the word disability, a lot of things come to mind, right? The first time I heard the word disability, I had come across people with disability, but I did not even know, I didn't have a word for it. I didn't know that disability is a word, is a thing, right? I just thought that, oh, who are this set of people? Who are this group of people that I did not hear about, or I did not know about, or I had not interacted with until that time? And yeah, I continue to live in that ignorance, right? But today we're going to be breaking down what disability means and what it means to be inclusive. And at the end of the session today, next slide, please. You should be able to, next slide. At the end of the session today, you should be able to understand disability and inclusion. You should be able to understand why and how mindset matters. You should be able to identify unconscious bias and actions, and you should also be able to build an inclusive mindset. Sorry, I think we're having issues with. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So we will be covering simple ways by which you can practice inclusion wherever you find yourself, whether at work, at school, in your community, or your personal interactions with persons with disabilities. So, next slide. Thank you. Whenever I talk about disability inclusion or anything that has to do with disability, inclusion, um, stereotypes, and all of that. I like to use the analogy of a cooking pot, of a pot of stew, and we're going to get there. So we are going to be laying foundations for like the key concepts. You may have come across any of these words: diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility. But what do the words really mean? What do they really mean? Diversity is simply the presence of different people, different backgrounds, different experiences, and different abilities.
I did
So,
not tell you.
please, if you're not talking, please.
Oh, yeah, Madam Platoni.
Okay, thank you. So, yeah, disability, I was talking about diversity. Diversity is simply when you have the presence of different people from different backgrounds, from different experiences, who have different experiences and who have different abilities, right? Now, let's think about cooking a pot of stew. When you want to cook a pot of stew, what do you need to cook to prepare a pot of stew, a pot of Nigerian stew? I beg. What do you need? Drop your comments in the chat. I'll be checking. So if you want to cook a pot of stew, how do you prepare a pot of stew? What do you, if you want to prepare a pot of stew for yourself, what would you need to put together to make a pot of stew? Let's drop it.
That is
Tomatoes. Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. Okay, so we have tomato, we have protein, Maggi, salt, oil. Thank you guys. Pepper, tomatoes. So now we're going to prepare a pot of stew together here. So we want to prepare a pot of stew. We have our oil, we have tomatoes, someone said pepper, Maggi, salt, protein. So I would now go for that to say for the protein, we would have chicken, we would have beef, we would have fish, and would have eggs. For me, I like to add eggs in my stew. So yeah, I would have all of those things. So the presence of all of those things in the process of the preparation of the stew is simply diversity, right? Let's say you want protein, for instance, the presence of fish, the presence of meat, the presence of chicken, of eggs is diversity. They are simply protein, right? But they are different types of protein. And of course, they feel differently, but they do the same job, achieve the same purpose. So that's simply diversity. And equity is when you give everyone the support and the resources that they need to survive, right? Equity is the process of bringing all of these things together, making an enabling environment for the fish, for the beef, for the chicken, for the egg, for the salt, for the Maggi, for the pepper, for tomatoes, for each and every ingredient that you need, the presence of the act of making each of them, be able to function properly or be able to come together to make this stew is what equity is really all about, right? Equity is about helping, it's about fairness. It's about fairness, basically. And inclusion is creating a space where every ingredient can participate. It's about creating an environment where, oh, this ingredient, oh, even though it is tomatoes, it will be able to come together to be a part of the stew. Even though it is pepper, I am going to blend it and it is going to be a part of the stew. Even though this is meat and this is chicken, sometimes some people would cook beef and chicken separately, right? So the process of preparing beef in a way that is separate from preparing chicken or preparing If you're adding eggs, you have to boil the eggs before. If you're adding chicken, you have to boil the chicken. You have to boil the meat. You have to maybe fry the fish as well, so that everything would come together to create the stew that you want. That is simply inclusion, where you create a process where you're intentionally bringing emphasis on intention. It has to be intentional. Not that you have got to the market, let's pour the tomatoes, let's pour it inside the pot, let's pour the brodo or the pepper, scotch bonnet, let's pour it inside the pot, let's pour the whatever protein that we have gotten, let's put it inside the pot, let's stir it together, food is ready. No. So it takes intentionality and proper effort, right? That is simply what DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility is all about. Accessibility is basically removing the barriers. For instance, I want you to think about accessibility like,
Can you hear me now?
can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, we
okay, great.
can.
Okay, thank you. If at any point you cannot hear me, please just signify in the chat. So the process, I was talking about accessibility, right? It is possible to have diversity. It's possible to have equity. It's possible to have inclusion without having accessibility. It is possible for all three to be present, but it is still not accessible. So there has to be, every barrier has to be removed. Everything that can stand against you accessing or getting into reaching the goal that you want to reach. Having the best meal so that everyone will be able to eat it. Every kind of person will be able to eat it. That is simply accessibility. So I want you to always think about DEI, which is usually what it is called in this space, like a cooking pot of stew where every ingredient matters and every ingredient has a role to play. So now we're spoken about DEI, we're spoken about diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility, and all of those jargon that we throw around in like the space. But what exactly is disability? Next slide, please. What really is disability? And I'm probably about to shock you with my definition, but it is not my definition. It is the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability. According to them, they say that disability is an interaction between a person's condition and societal barriers. I am going to use the analogy of, I'm going to paint an analogy for us so that we'll better understand what disability really is or what it looks like, right? But first, let's break down the definition. It says it is an interaction between a person's condition and societal barrier. So there is a person's condition and then there is societal barrier. And then it is the way someone's condition interacts with the societal barriers. Now let's break this down. Let's say you want to, you are in a river, right? You are around a river and then you want to cross from wherever you are to the other side of the river. What would you need to cross to the other side of the river? Let's engage in the chat as usual. What do you need to cross from one side of the river or one part of the river to the other part of the river? A boat, thank you. A ship. A boat, a ship, a boat, canoe. Yeah, thank you. So is there anything apart from boat, apart from ship, apart from canoe, is there anything that can be like an hindrance to wings? Okay, cool. Yeah, there's wings to storm. I don't know about that, you guys. So is there anything that can be like some sort of hindrance to take you from that point A to point B, which is like the other side of the river? Let's think about it. What can be like an hindrance to take you from point A to the point B? It can be that you don't know how to swim. It can be that the distance is too, yeah, it can be that you cannot use a canoe. It can be that the distance is too wide. It can be that you don't have enough time. It can be, thank you guys. It can be anything. It can be that there is no one to take you there. Thank you, Bukola. It can be that you're lacking skills and ability. Thank you, Joy. It can be anything, right? So the fact that you are going from one place to the other without a boat or without anything, without any means, that is your condition. That is your condition. So I want you to think about your condition as, or the a person's condition as maybe someone using a wheelchair, or someone who processes information differently, or someone who has a certain height or hair color, like me now, I'm short. So that's my that's my condition. Someone, think about that condition as one side of the river, right? Now think about the other side of the river as the goal they are trying to reach. So for me, I am short. Maybe I'm trying to reach like the top shelf. That is a goal that I'm trying to reach. For someone else, it might be that, oh, they are jobless and they are trying to get a job. That is a goal they are trying to reach. It might be that, oh, someone has a class and they are trying to attend that class. They're trying to go to the movies. They are trying to, do anything really. That is the goal that they are trying to reach. But the fact that they need something to get them from that point A, which is one side of the river, to point B, which is the other side of the river, is the condition. There is a barrier, and the barrier is that there is nothing that will take them from point A to point B. I hope you are following. If you don't understand, please let me know, because this is about shifting mindsets, right? And we have to get to the bottom of things to really understand. So if you don't understand my analogy, please do signify. You are very welcome to take me back. So yeah. So I was saying that there is the place where you are going from point A to point B, and then there is the barrier, which is hindering you from going from point A to point B, right? So it is not just about this person being short and not being able to reach the top shelf. It is not just about this person using a wheelchair and not being able to go to a certain place. It is not just about the boy or the girl on one side of the river trying to get to the other side of the river. It is the fact that there is nothing that would help the boy get to the other side of the river. So that the fact that there is nothing to get the boy from point A to point B is simply barrier. So the barrier comes to play when someone's condition and the way the society is built comes together to interact. That is when you now notice that, oh, there's a barrier. In this situation, the river is manageable, but the fact that there is no canoe, or better yet, nobody mentioned bridge. There could have been a bridge just built the same way Third Mainland Bridge was erected so that people can travel from the mainland to the highland. If you live in Lagos, you understand. So the fact that there is no bridge, or there is no canoe, or there isn't anything that can aid the boy or the girl, the person, to move from point A to point B, is what is called disability. So disability is not the fact that someone's leg is missing. Disability is not the fact that, oh, I cannot hear. Disability is not the fact that, oh, I do not speak. Disability is not that, oh, I cannot see. Disability goes beyond that. Disability is when you, as someone who cannot see, is living in a world that is built only for people who see. That is when disability surfaces. Do we understand? If you understand, please use your favorite emoji. Let me say that you are following. Let me say that you are following. And if you already have questions, it's okay. Yes, it is definitely beyond physical features. It is beyond that. It is beyond whatever it is that you may have thought about. Thank you so much, guys, for following. I have very smart students, so thank you. So now, should we then say that because of all of this, because you are short and you may not be able to reach the top shelf because you have a certain hair color or hair type or body type, because you struggle, because you have difficulty doing some certain things. Some people even say that when you are pregnant, you have a disability. Does it now mean that everyone who has encountered this difficulty has a disability? No, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that because you are incapable of carrying out a temporary task, you have a disability. No. Disability, usually two things come to play. It is usually that there is a condition and there is a barrier, and the barrier is usually oppressive and systematic. So it has to be, the condition is usually an impairment, right? There has to be an impairment, which can be physical, sensory, and any other type. And then there has to be a barrier, which is systemic and oppressive, right? For there to be like a disability in place. Please, next slide. So I hope we understand what disability really is. Disability is not just what someone looks like or what someone does not have or what they do have. Disability is simply when when their condition, when they interact with the condition of the society or the barriers in the society. So if you're having problem opening a jar or reaching a top shelf or understanding complex jargon, you don't have a disability, right? You don't have a disability. It is temporary. But if you're having like a reoccurring, a long-lasting difficulty, barrier, experiencing barrier that is usually oppressive, right? Due to your state, due to something that you have, due to your condition, then that is disability. So we have like different four categories of disability. We have physical disability, which is the amputees, the wheelchair users, and all of that. Then we have sensory disability, which is visual, people who are visually impaired, the deaf. We have intellectual and developmental disability, which is usually like the spectrum, right? People who are on the spectrum, the different intellectual who have stunt, who have problem with, who are intellectually disabled, basically. And then we have mental disability. Mental disability are usually like people who have long-lasting mental instability. So you can have like depression for a long period of time, and then they can then diagnose it and say that, oh, you have a disability, but then you have to get a certificate for that. So according to WHO, estimated 1.3 billion in the world, which is about like the 16% of the global population, currently has or experience a significant disability. And of that 1.3 billion, about 29 million of Nigerians are living with disability. So when you see like when you put when you put 29 people together, you can be sure that one person has a disability in Nigeria. Please, next slide. So now that we have established what disability really is and how it can interact with our mind, we're going to be talking about the unconscious bias that can emanate from, from interacting with a person with disability. We have unconscious bias, which is a negative mental shortcut that you as a person without a disability you have that affects your judgment. Everyone has an unconscious bias towards one thing or another. In fact, unconscious bias is a general thing which is okay, sometimes can help you make good decisions, but here it is a negative attitude towards people with disability. For instance, assuming that a person with disability needs help. The fact that someone has a disability does not mean that they need help. The fact that you see a blind person does not mean on the road, does not mean that they need your help. Yeah. The fact that you see a blind person on the road does not mean they need your help. The fact that you see someone using sign language does not mean they need your help, right? And also thinking that disability means that you cannot do anything is also an unconscious bias, like the things that you unconsciously think about in your mind simply because of what you have learned, your experience, your upbringing. Like me now, I wasn't brought up with or in a place where I saw people with disability. And the first time I met a person with disability, I was 17, and they told me that I should come and train people. Quick story. They told me that, okay, Tony, you have to train people to do some certain things, right? I was volunteering with an organization and they did not tell me whom I was going to meet. And then I got there, I found out that the people that I was supposed to train how to make paper bags were blind. And I was there thinking, okay, are there blind people in the world? I know as unimaginable as it might seem, I actually thought that it's not possible that there will be blind people in the world. I mean, the blind people that I've always known are people who wear glasses, right? So where are there people who cannot see anything at all? And there and then I could have assumed that, oh, these people cannot learn paper bags. These people cannot learn to do these things themselves. And at the end, I did not let my unconscious bias get in the way. I taught them and they were able to learn the bags and do the work. They even did really well. They were so patient, so they were ready to learn, and it was great. Everything came out well. So do not let your unconscious bias get in the way of doing the right thing, basically. On the flip side of unconscious bias is ableism. For ableism, you don't even know that it exists, just like unconscious bias, like it is unconscious, right? Ableism is basically when you, as an able person, sees or thinks about someone with disability as, as inferior to you. You simply think that, oh, I'm better than this person because this person is deaf and I'm not deaf, so I'm better. And you think that, oh, this person needs help. Let me help them. Let me give them 5 naira, 2 naira. I will forever talk about the day that someone squeezed money in my hand because they think that I was deaf. I mean, it wasn't about thinking that I was deaf. It was the fact that they thought that I needed help, right? Even after telling the woman that, oh, it is okay, we are okay, don't bother. But like, no, 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 keep it. So don't do that, right? Don't enable ableism. Also thinking that, oh, because this person is a person with disability, they will not be able to do much. It is okay if they are mediocre. It is okay, you can just let them go. Those are signs of ableism, and ensure to not let them get into your way of properly engaging with persons with disability. Yeah. Next slide, please. So why does it matter? Why does mindset matter in talking about inclusion? Because everything that was spoken about, unconscious bias, ableism, societal interactions, and all of that, they start with the mind, right? When there is a mind shift, then we can grow in empathy, and then we can simply naturally design a place where everyone is included and everyone feels welcomed. Then we can go from empathy to innovation and then to build stronger communities. Sometimes a lot of people they want to do better, but they don't know how to do better, right? We should not stop there. which is why we're here today. We should be willing to learn and, to act based on the things that we're learning. Next slide, please. Thank you. So what does an inclusive mindset look like? I'm sure you're already thinking about it in your mind, what it would look like if you were inclusive, right? To build an inclusive mindset, you have to stay curious. You have to learn, oh, okay, this blind person, how would it be to do this, to do that, and not, this person definitely cannot do this and that. Can you see the difference in those two perspectives, right? You are asking with curiosity and empathy, okay, how would they do this? How can they do that? Not, oh, they definitely can do this, or they definitely can do that. Show empathy without pity, practice self-awareness, listen to lived experiences. Next slide, please. Thank you. So apart from having an inclusive mindset, right, we can also shift from having the mindset to being action-oriented. So how do you act with inclusion in mind? Use person-first language. What does person-first language mean? Recently, I don't know if we all saw the video, but a popular influencer was talking about inclusion of persons with disability, and she used the term disabled person. And some people shifted the focus from, the fact that shifted the focus from what she was talking about to, disabled people. So when you want to refer to a person with disability, you don't say disabled people, you say person with disability, right? So you use person's first language, person with autism, things like that. Then if it pleases the person, then you can use identity first language. So there are some people who identify with their disability first, or would think that disability is closely knitted to who they are and want to be addressed with the identity first. Also, universal thinking. These pictures that are in this slide, we can see Braille on the drug case. So everything that's written in words is also written in Braille. So imagine having in Nigeria where you go to the drugstore as a blind person and you don't have to think about, hey, are they giving me the wrong drug? Do I have the right drug? Is this, is that? So that is basically universal design thinking, which is really common in the UK. Yeah, hopefully we'll adopt it here in Nigeria. Also, there is the currency we see is the Israeli currency. The Israeli currency has Braille signs in it, where as a blind person, you can tell which denomination is which is really excellent. I've heard of a story that a blind person asked someone by the ATM to use the ATM machine on their behalf, and the person took all the money, and the person gave the person the wrong denomination, and that was it. So I can imagine how great this would be for blind people in Israel right now, that they have currency that has Braille marking, and it's also in different sizes. So there are 20. I don't want to say 20 naira, but the lowest denomination is the smallest in size. Then the higher it goes, it increases in length, right? I'm trying to rush through so that we can have time for questions. Then there is the curve cut effect, which is basically the features that you design for accessibility for people with disability that has come to be used by the general audience or the general public. For instance, it might interest you to know that text to speech was majorly designed for blind people, right? And closed caption was designed for deaf people. But somehow these things have come to help us in our day-to-day lives, even as people without disability. So we should always think about those things as we design. Next slide, please. Thank you. So everyday inclusive design, like we said earlier, ask questions, don't assume, don't say that this person cannot do this. Someone once told me that she cannot imagine blind people cooking. What do you mean, blind people? What would they eat? I think, am I not human? Will I not eat? Right. And because a lot of times I have seen blind people cooking, I have seen blind people in action cooking. So I do know that, oh, whatever you're saying, you don't understand, it is okay. So don't assume, ask questions, ask questions, ask questions, use accessible formats, alt text. So text is basically what you see in this picture. So the difference between the first image and the second image is the alt text, right? And the alt text is simply sunrise in beach, which is like a description of the image that you have posted. So for people who use social media, if you want to post images, please and please think about the blind people who have no means to have access to the image that you are posting. So just adding like a simple text will help you. If you don't know how to, if you're not creative enough, you can first upload it to an LLM or use AI, and then it will generate the alt text for you. Also use captions, use readable fonts. Use readable fonts. There are some fonts that are great for designs, but they are not accessible. So use readable fonts. Don't rely only on verbal messages. So this is supposed to be don't rely only. So when you're added to a WhatsApp group, for instance, don't think that everybody on that group can hear. And so you begin to send voice notes. No. First, understand the terrain and try as much as possible to only send texts, right? So include persons with disability in decision making. If you're doing something about disability, don't do it for them, do it with them. So there's a difference between doing something for someone and doing something with someone. That way you're better, you would better understand what they need. Yeah, next. Thank you. So overcoming common barriers. When I first started working in the disability community, I used to be afraid of saying the wrong things. I used to be very cautious. I used to be I used to be a lot of things, right? And that didn't get me anywhere. It didn't help me to learn as well. But I had to let go of the fear of saying the wrong thing so that I could learn and integrate with culture. Whether you like it or not, there is a disability culture that you also have to integrate into if you want to be inclusive. But it has to start from letting go of your fear of saying the wrong things and letting go of your miseducation or your lack of education. You have to educate yourself. You have to expose yourself. Also, getting rid of the one size fits all thinking. Don't think that because this person is deaf and that person is deaf, they need the same thing. No, there's something called intersectionality where someone is deaf, they are female, they are northern. Another person is deaf, is male, is from Lagos State. Definitely, you know that this person, this first deaf person who is female, has separate, may certainly have separate needs from this other man who is from Lagos. So don't think that, oh, there is one solution that would help every other person. Next slide. Thank you. So inclusion model to adopt as an ally. So if you want to, I believe we're all here because we want to learn and we want to begin to inculcate inclusive actions in our day-to-day life. So a simple step that you can take is the ACT model. I came up with the model and I'm hoping that it will help you as well. So A stands for awareness. You have to be aware, you have to learn about persons with disability beyond the things that you are seeing in Nollywood movies, beyond the things that you're seeing on TV. You have to actively go in search and say, oh, okay, what does it actually look like to be deaf in Nigeria? Okay, if you're creating something, ask yourself, if I were deaf, would I be able to access this thing? If I were blind, would this thing be helpful or be useful to me? If I were in a wheelchair, would I be able to do this and that? So be aware, learn about the barriers and challenge assumptions, then connect, engage with persons with disabilities, then transform based on your awareness and your connection. Act and change things. Don't just learn about it. Also, in little ways that you can change things. Now that we have heard all of these things, right? Um, First, I want you to know that disability is a natural and valuable part of human diversity. Like the cooking pot, there has to be the presence of different things for it to work. So it is for us as human. So it is not a deficit to be mourned, but a form of human existence to be supported and celebrated. And your commitment is a journey, not a destination. You will not get everything at once, but you will start from somewhere, right? And now that you have heard everything that you have heard, I would like to know that there is one thing that you want to do differently based on all of the things that you have heard. So please and please share in the chat one way that you make um, your space more inclusive. Maybe this week or this month or anytime you come across people with disability. Please can we put up the questions like uh, so questions, anything, wherever it is, whatever it is, anything that you want to actively do, if you're a person with disability here, please share any way that you'd like to be included or any way you'd like to see more inclusion being practiced. Now we've come to the end of the session. So if you have been sleeping, wake up from your slumber. Thank you, Tumishi. Wait. Before you start thanking me, share how you want to be inclusive or anything that you have learned. And then you start using alt text. Yay! Thank you. You start using alt text on social media. Yay! Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Toby. Thank you, Tomishi. While we also come up with our commitment, let us also think about questions that we may have. Joy, start using legible fonts. Thank you. That's very important. Thank you, Anu. I'm glad you found it helpful. Anu, thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Toyin, for the impactful message that you sent across. I really enjoyed this, and I'm sure other people present here have also gained and learned a lot. So I would also like to formally recognize the presence of Hannah, the founder of EcoSmart Club. Yes, and I would first like to ask her if there is anything she would like to contribute to what Ms. Ajao has said already before I throw it to the house.
Hi Joy, thank you so much. Yeah, it's been really great listening in. Thank you so much, Diane. It's always, refreshing hearing from you, and I always learn a lot at every session. I think for me, I'd just like to hear more about people's reflections and what their commitment will be, and and also see if there are any questions. And I see there are some questions already in the chat, so let's just give it to Tony to answer that. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Anna. Please, if you have any questions, you can communicate them on the chat. And if you have anything you would like to contribute as well, please kindly communicate it via text and let us know what you want to say and what you want to know. Thank you.
Okay,
Miss Ajao,
I think
okay.
there are a lot of questions on learning how to sign. Point.
Oh, okay. Hi guys. So the great thing is that we have Anu here, and because you have me as well, but Anu will be taking you guys. We have one of the leadership team member is deaf. So if you want to learn sign language, please signify, and Hannah would the team will make that happen, right, Hannah? By the way, thank you very much for this opportunity. I really enjoyed myself. I had fun talking about disability inclusion. So yeah. Um, so how do we do this? If you want to learn sign language, Hannah, how can we do this? By the
I
way, if
think
you want to learn sign language, it is not that you will come week one and then week two you disappear. Maybe you should disappear now.
No, be committed.
Okay. Hannah.
okay, and I think we should discuss this later and would communicate. I know there are other persons that are not part of our club that are just joining because probably they saw the flyer. So we would be sending an email after this session to let you know the plans.
Thank you very much, Hannah. Okay, which other question did I see? Um,
I think there was a question that Ogenechiwe had, and it was around um, this first person.
Also,
Um,
to me, she asked the question.
yeah, I think I should pass to OG if you still want to ask the question.
okay, to Michelle's question. Also, where can we get resources for learning Braille? Okay. So I've tried to learn Braille, but I forgot. So I can find out, but there are resources on the internet for you to learn Braille. You can check LLMs, ChatGPT, anywhere. There are resources for you to learn Braille. Also, I would also ask my community, you know, for that. Thank you.
Okay, what is LLM? You keep saying that.
Sorry, ChatGPT. Simply put, ChatGPT, Gemini. Um, which one else is there?
They can
Claude.
teach Braille.
What did you say?
They can teach Braille.
Um, I mean, there really isn't anything that you cannot learn using these things. Not that they would teach Braille directly, but maybe they can really. Copilot.
And
Yeah.
mm. So, one question I had is, why can't we say a person living with disability instead of saying a person with disability?
Okay. Before I go on, Anna shared something to the group which I'd like to read. She said, you said something about how to address persons with disability. I would like to add the PWDs usually have personal preferences. Yeah, and it's okay to ask how a person would like to be addressed. For example, some people will rather call a deaf person hearing impaired because that sounds better to, excuse me, because that sounds better to the ears. However, simply saying deaf is generally acceptable in the deaf community. Twain said we shouldn't make assumptions, which is totally true. Thank you so much, Anu. So, in the past, I've always been mindful of my language, and Anu is one of those people that made me comfortable that I'll just say deaf. I mean, for me, exactly. So, I mean, for Anu, so it is easy for me to just say, oh, Anu is deaf without her feeling offended. So you have to ask the person. And back to the question that Hannah asked, why can't we say persons living with disability? So it used to be persons living with disability. I know you can also, drop your message concerning that. So we used to, as we grow, you continue to see how you can modify things to be better, right? So it used to be person with disability, person living with disability, and then they saw. I want to say we saw. They saw that it wasn't putting the humanity of the person first, right? So they had to make it evolve into persons with disability. So it is easier to say you have a disability or you have a disability than to say you are living with disability. So it's just growth, it's just evolution. The same way as you get to know yourself better, you get to evolve into like the new version of yourself. So that is how it is. That is how it is saying with this. So based on the United Nations Conventions on the Rights of Persons with Disability, lots of things changed from like the last convention. So I hope that has answered your question, at least a bit.
Yeah,
So it's
thank
not about like the rightness or the wrongness of the word itself. It's just about the usage, how it is being used, and how it is casting like an image onto that person. Peter Lucas says that I was reading an article and someone referred to autistic patients as having autism spectrum disorder. Meanwhile, a second article used autism spectrum condition. These are all current publications. What do you think? Okay, first, one of the things that I spoke about is that you have to constantly learn, right? I can also make mistakes. Other people working in the space can also make mistakes. It is not cast in stone. Meanwhile, there are some things, basic things that we should avoid, things that dehumanize, things that, for example, I believe, even personally, I think that saying condition is better than disorder. So, autism spectrum condition just makes more sense because it is a condition, right? Not really a disorder, unless you choose to say it that way. So, it is a condition. So, I don't want to say that the other person is wrong or was wrong, but I think I'd like to identify more with the person who said autism spectrum condition. So the more you learn, the more you know that, oh, okay, that word I used last week is actually not the right word. Now that I have learned this word this week, this is the right word I'll continue to use. And then you go on to, in the future, you find out that, oh, there is an evolution, there is a new development. So that's about it. I hope I have been able to answer your question.
Okay. Tony, please, I have a question.
Okay.
So, autism, you also mentioned and discussed the types of disabilities that we have. Autism, does it fall under mental or intellectual disability?
Intellectual.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So mental is more like mental condition, like the ones that we know. Of course, there are some that we don't know, but the usual, let's say depression, let's say, I don't want to say the specific ones I'm not sure of, but then let's pick the depression, for instance. If you have depression for too long, they can say that, oh, this person has a disability and your disability is depression. So I'm still I'm still learning in that area. So I cannot speak authoritatively about that.
Okay. Thank you.
Cute. Any other question?
Yes, I actually have one more. Sorry.
Okay, please go on. I'm glad to take your questions.
So you mentioned under negative attitude towards disability, you mentioned unconscious bias, and
Okay.
then you said something about, like, for example, under unconscious bias, like assuming someone needs help. But like when okay, but like people with disability, okay, I haven't really had encounters with like so many people with disabilities, probably just
Okay.
like once in a blue moon. But then most times the ones that I've encountered, they usually need help. So is it wrong, actually wrong, to presume that okay, this person needs help and like offer your help?
What do you mean by they usually need help? I'm just trying to understand
Okay,
clearly. Yeah,
for example,
thank
you
you.
see a blind man walking on the road, at the side of the road, and then he wants to cross to the other side of the road, but then he's using his stick to gauge if there's a car coming or not. But then they obviously like need someone's help to actually cross the road because they can't tell if like there's a car coming by or not. So is that actually like a negative attitude towards the blind man that needs help?
Like you going to help.
Yes.
Okay. No, it is not. So you can offer to help, right? The fact that there is a blind man standing by the road and it looks as though he wants to cross does not mean that he actually wants to cross. I don't know if that makes sense. So because he's blind, we automatically assume that this person wants to cross, so that's probably why he's waiting. Oh, let me quickly help him. So instead of saying, "Oh, let me quickly help him," and grabbing his hand and moving, making him cross, you can simply ask that, "Oh, do you want to cross, or do you need help crossing?" So
Oh,
it is not
okay.
that you don't offer help. It is not that you don't help, but it is that you offer the help. You ask. It's important that you ask, and then they consent.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So please, do we have any more questions for Toyin? Does anyone have any more questions? Okay, so in the absence of no more
I
questions
have a
of
question, Joy.
oh, okay, okay. You may proceed.
Yes, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Yes, Tony, thank you for your beautiful presentation. While you were speaking, you mentioned how you mentioned something about pity. And so I wanted to know, how do we draw the line between pity and empathy? So how do we draw the line in being empathetic to people with disabilities and pitying? Yes, that's my question.
Thank you very much for that question. While I would try to ask, I know Oluwapo, over to you. So type something. How would you feel? How would you see pity different from empathy as a deaf person? So she would try to answer, and then I would try to say something about that as she types. Um, so usually, even without disability, you know when someone is pitying you and when someone has empathy or is extending empathy towards you. For instance, you let's say someone stole your money. You have just gone to the ATM, and then you got out, I don't know, say 50K, and then somehow you lost it on your way. And then maybe you get home and then you find out that, oh, I can't find this money again. And then the people at home are thinking, That's so sad though. Oh my God. How did you do that? How can you do that? What are you going to eat? Well, like they begin to make comments or remarks or actions that do not in any way advance or better your situation, right? Better the situation that you're in. But for empathy, you put yourself, the other person tries to put themselves in your shoes. Say, okay, if I was the one who lost 50K, which is like my last card, how would that be? How would I feel? I'll feel terrible. Oh, she must feel terrible right now. How am I going to survive? I probably would not be able to survive the following day because I don't have food to eat. Or how is she going to survive? Will I need external help? Will I need someone to just squeeze 10K into my hands? I think I would do. So would this person need someone to squeeze 10K into their account? Probably. Do I have 10K that I think would be good to squeeze into this person's account or squeeze into this person's hands? And can you see the progression between like pity and empathy? If you engage empathy well enough, you can come up with solution for whatever the problem is. But pity does not have any form of result. You just continue to pity. Oh yeah, oh sorry. That's pity. Oh, I'm so sad for you. It is a lie, oh, they are not sad. So that is how what it looks like with persons with disability. You are thinking, for example, you are meeting a blind person, you are thinking, this girl is so fine. How come she's blind? Oh, who will marry this girl now? Or something like that. That's pity. You say, let me just take her out so that people can see her and people will be able to do this and that for her. That's pity. Meanwhile, empathy says that, oh, this person is blind. How do they navigate going through? You can think about anywhere that is not accessible. You can say, how do they navigate going through Yaba, for instance, for people who live in Lagos? How will they navigate going to work every day? How will they navigate um, jumping Lagos bus and all of that? If I was the one living with blindness, how would I be able to navigate that? Okay, this person must be experiencing some level of difficulty, and this person must be like resilient to be able to pull through all of those obstructions and still like live life. Does that make sense now?
Yes, it does.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if Anu is still here. Anu, you can add your 1 cent. Joy, please, over to you.
Okay, so I don't think there are any more questions, if I'm correct. Okay, so thank you so much, Twin. Your presentation was really, 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 really impactful. I learned a lot of things that I wasn't aware of. I didn't even know that there there are the negative attitudes towards disability, the unconscious bias, the everyday inclusive design, not assuming but asking, using accessible formats. All these things are what I have learned in your presentation today, and I'm sure everyone else here has learned a lot more from me today. So on behalf of the entire EcoSmart Club, we just want to say a very, very big thank you for your presence here and for sharing your knowledge with us. Yes. So thank you very much. Oh yes, and to everyone everyone else that is present here, thank you for joining. Thank you for your active participation as well. It is not unnoticed. I mean, yes, it is not unnoticed. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Joy, our beautiful moderator.
Thank you, Joy.
You're
Thank
welcome. You're
you,
welcome.
everyone. Bye. Have an
Bye.
inclusive of your day.